All right, so I'm going to click on home. I'm going to be back in my master course. So go ahead, make sure you're not in the training course. You're in your course that you own, that you're the teacher, because we're going to build some stuff in here. Now, clearly Canvas wants us to make a new module, right? That's what we're seeing on this page. This is something they really want from us. Does anyone know what a module is in Canvas? It's okay if you don't. I just didn't know if we had any like advanced folks. I have a feeling some of you know, but you just don't want to say. All right, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what a module is. A module in Canvas is the way that we're going to organize our course content. I am going to show you my Fahrenheit 451 course to show you my modules page. And I'm going to collapse them all so you can see that I've got a bunch of modules in here. This is a course that's taught by week. So the names of my modules in this course are the weeks of the course. And so if we look there at week 1, this has all of the content that I want my students to see, anything I want them to do or turn in, any videos or content that goes with this week is all going to be here in this module. In the order I want them to see it. And you can see this is a Monday, Wednesday, Friday course. Well, I actually threw a Tuesday in there one time when I was demoing. So you see that there's also a text header that's showing them Tuesday. So when students are ready to experience this course, they would go ahead and click on the introduction. And because they're now inside of a module, this will now have a previous and a next button. So they're going to be able to progress through the module that way if they choose. So they could click on next, and it's like turning the pages of a book. It's going to take them to the next thing, which in this case is a discussion where they can participate in that. And then once they're done, they can click the next button and see the next piece of this module that I want them to do. Now, I am really an advocate of being very strategic in how we, in coming up with a naming convention for the modules. You can see in here that I've called mine weeks, and then my numbering pieces for everything inside of the module, I call mine 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. There's a number of reasons for doing that. One is for the syllabus. I'll show you how this appears then on the syllabus. It just makes it a lot easier for students when they're experiencing my course, when they look at the names of things, that it has that really thoughtful naming conventions for them. So anything that you can create in Canvas can go in a module, and so can a lot of other things. We can link directly to a file. We can put something that's in our OneDrive or our Google Drive in there. We can do an external link. So you're also going to see in this course, very frequently, we see instructors have a module like this one that I have at the top called Got a Tip or Need Help. Sometimes that's called Module 0. And then you might also include things up here that are unpublished. So this is unpublished, which means my students can't see it, but I can, and so could if I had any co-teachers or guest lecturers or TAs, they could see the unpublished content. So if that was like grading rubrics or things like that that I needed them to see, that could live up there in an unpublished module, but my students couldn't see it. Normally when people are just getting started in Canvas, I say however you normally teach your course is how you would create your modules. So if you teach by week, then you would create your modules to match. Or if you teach by chapter or unit, then you would set up your modules that way. So we're going to go ahead and have you create a new module. Obviously, you know which button to click on. It's that one right there. Go ahead and click on it and give your module a name. You can call it whatever you want. I'm going to build a module called Introduction to Pandas. And notice there's a check mark in there, a checkbox where we could lock this module if we wanted to until a specific date. So that would allow us to have the content published but not accessible to students until we want it to unlock. So that is a feature that you'll see in there. You don't have to use it, but if you're afraid that you'll forget to publish something but you don't want students to get to it yet, you can use that lock until in there. All right, so I have one module. I want you to click on that red button where it says plus module and go ahead and add a second one. Call this, give this one another name. So whatever your second module might be called. I'm going to call mine More About Bears. Now that we have a second module, you'll see that there's an additional tool. So we have Lock Until, but we also can set a prerequisite. Modules will allow you to really design the path you want your students to walk down, and prerequisites is going to be one of the ways that you can do that. So after you're in your second module, you could set prerequisites then and say, you know what, my students can't get to More About Bears until they do whatever I need them to do in Introduction to Pandas. So it's just one of the ways that you can really design your course so that students don't just randomly start clicking all over the place looking for the work to do, which is what my high school students always did. What do I need to turn in? And they'd skip all my really good work. Okay, so I've got two modules in here. And we're going to add in some pieces to our top module, whatever your very first module is called. So we're going to look for that plus button right there at the top of that module. And I want you to go ahead and click that. And the first thing we're going to do is add an assignment. You don't have any yet, so go ahead and click where it says New Assignments. And we're just going to practice and give our assignment a name. So I'm going to call mine Panda Essay. These names will show up in your flow of modules. Students will see them. You're also going to see that one of the things you can do from here, you don't have to do it right now, but we do have an indenting feature which just helps students to kind of see where things are connected together. So you can indent up to 3 levels. Once you have your assignment named, go ahead and click Add Item. And what that just did was it created a placeholder for us in that module where when we build this together this afternoon, you'll be able to use that space. We're going to add some more pieces to this module, so go ahead and click that plus button again. So we just added an assignment. The next thing we want to add, we don't want another assignment, so we're going to click there on those 2 arrows, and we're going to scroll down there to Content Page. And we don't have any pages yet, so I want you to go ahead and click where it says New Page. Go ahead and give your page a name. Pages are ways that we can deliver content to students. It's a natively built place in Canvas. We get our rich content editor. So I'm going to call mine Introduction to Pandas. And then just go ahead and click Add Item. It's going to create that space for us. Notice that the icons are changing, so these icons are letting you know what it is that you've put in there. That assignment is the piece of paper and a pencil. The Intro to Pandas is a page, so the page is just that piece of paper with the folded over corner. We're also going to add a discussion to this space, so go ahead and click that plus button one more time. And we're going to click on those double arrows, and right beneath Content Page you should see Discussion. Go ahead and click on that. We don't have any discussions yet, so go ahead and click where it says New Topic, and I'm going to call mine Talk About Pandas. And I'm going to go ahead and click Add Item. And now we've created that space for discussion. Notice that the icon is the double talk bubble. That's indicating that it's a discussion. Now we can tell that this isn't published. How can we tell? Just by looking at it. Anyone see the visual indicator that we can tell that none of this stuff is published? Go ahead. The circle with the line through it. Okay. So if your module is unpublished, oh darn it. Okay. If your module is unpublished, the students don't see any of the pieces inside of it. Okay. Even if this was published, if I published that assignment, if it's in an unpublished module, the students won't see it. It's like it doesn't exist. So while things are unpublished in your course, the students are not going to be able to see it. We only added a couple of things to our module, but notice there's a lot of other things that can go in there. So if you had a file that you wanted to put into your module so that when students were moving through it, that was the next thing they came upon, you could do that. Like I said, you can link to an external tool or external URL. And the other thing that you're going to see in there is external tool. Now, I'm going to talk about what an external tool is, because you have some of them in there now, and you will probably have more. So this is where if you have like a specific book publisher, or I know that there's other things that are being vetted by the university, a lot of maybe other third-party applications that you might have had integrated into D2L could potentially show up here as an external tool. The one that is in here right now is Office 365. So what I can do right here is, if I've got something that lives in my OneDrive that I wanted to put into the flow of the module, all I have to do is add external tool and come down here and click on the magnifying glass. It's going to show me my OneDrive then.
How did you get here? I'm so sorry.
Don't apologize.
I'm sorry.
You just broke two. You followed one rule, was let me know that you didn't know where I was, but then you broke another one. So it's okay. Don't say you're sorry again. That's what everybody does. All right, here's what I did. I went to add something else to my module. And the thing that I wanted to add was external tool, which is hanging out at the bottom of the list. So if I've got a PowerPoint that I wanted to just put right in there, it's showing me my OneDrive, and I can click Attach File. And I could force this open in a new tab if I wanted to, or I can just have it be embedded. And I'm going to click Add Item. And so this could be then a part of my module. I didn't have to upload it into my Canvas course. I didn't have to, do any of that. And Canvas is going to take care of the sharing settings with that file. So as long as the students are enrolled in my course, Canvas is going to assume that I want my students to be able to see it, right? So I don't have to worry about, sharing it with certain people so that they can view it. If it's in my course, Canvas is going to make the assumption that I want whoever's in my course to be able to look at this presentation. So while we're looking at modules right now, I want to show you that this is a drag and drop environment, like a lot of our environments. And you will need to know that, especially when you get your imports from stuff from D2L, because stuff will try to come into Canvas and we'll try to make sense of it and put it into modules, but it might be in an order that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So if you need to move things in your module, you can drag them and drop them within a module, and you can also drag and move them to another module. So it is going to be fairly easy for you to do some cleanup once those imports come over. The other thing that you can do if if you get something in your module that you don't need to have in there, if you click on those three dots, there's a remove button. So right here in your flow of your navigation, you'll see files. And so you have a files space, and this is where you'll see that 1 gig that we talked about. Now you can upload files into here if it's not in your OneDrive, if it's something that you think is pretty static and you're not going to have to, be updating very frequently. So I can click that upload button right there. And if you want to try this out, I'm just going to find something that I have on my computer, like a PDF. So it'll go ahead and upload that for me. Doesn't take very long. You can do more. You can do multiple at a time, and then it'll just begin to show it to you. You can create whatever hierarchy you want with your folders over there. Won't break any links. And then those become a part of your course. So when you make a copy of this course then into another semester, you're teaching it again, your files will go with it. I can use this file now when I'm building things. So if I'm building a page, I'm going to be able to use it because it's going to be a part of when I open up my rich content editor. I'll have my files that are living in my right-hand side. And I'm going to show you that in just a second when we go to build the page. Sure. Yeah, so what I could have done is select more than one. Yep, which I'll do right now and show you. And I'll just get going. Yep. So 1 gig is a lot of space. I know people get worried when they see that they've got a limit. So it's plenty of space for things like docs and PDFs and images and things like that. You know, what's going to eat up a lot of space are big multimedia files. So, you know, large movies or things like that. In which case you should probably be using storing them somewhere else. I know that you guys have Kaltura, or you have other places that you could host those videos. That's going to be connected. Kaltura is to your Canvas environment. So if people get nervous, if you're training other people, which I know some of you will be, and they get nervous about seeing that limit right there, just know this is specifically for this course. And you'll be able to see it over time. People can request more space to be awarded to them. It's something that can be done. I'm not saying that it would be done, but it can be done by an admin should someone need it. Instead, they'd probably have a conversation about what are you putting in your file space. So I'm going to reorder these things that are in my module right here. And I'm going to put the page first, because this is what we're going to build first. And then I'm going to put the discussion up there next to it. The second, and then my Panda essay.